Hey there, pirates. We just saw today the briefing about Bounty Season 7, and there are some really different cool things I wanted to talk about just so people understand what's coming. So let's cover a little bit. Just so nobody tunes off, there is no math in this video. It's completely free of mathematics, formulas, or anything, and it has pictures, so enjoy. So what's old? If you ever did Bounty before and you know how it works. It starts on Thursday, ends on Monday. There are the Mega Hull Nexus, or Nexuses, 5 per ward. If your alliance holds one of them, you can collect 25 bounty every hour, stacks up to 100. And Friday, there is a big payout if your alliance has it at that point, but it's very important that you log in at the right time to collect that, otherwise it's gone. And then there's a bigger payout on Monday at the end of bounty. So that's one thing. The other thing that's old, 800 bounty drip every 6 hours. Just remember, you gotta collect the drip, you gotta log in and collect the drip before the next one happens, or the old one goes poof and you lose the points. So kind of like you have to log in every 11 hours and a half or so, okay, on the right time. So the bounty drip happens at 10 a.m. and then every 6 hours from there on. So 10 a.m., 4 p.m., 10 p.m., 4 a.m. Pacific time, Kixeye time. Checkpoints are the same. Checkpoints 1 to 4 every 2,000 bounty. So you score 2,000, you secure it. Next 2,000 secure again and again and again. After checkpoint 4, you score another 2,000 bounty, you get a chest. 5k more, you get another chest, and 9k more, you get another chest, and then 10k. Sorry, no more. Yeah, 2, 5, and 9 on your way to 10, and then at 10k you secure everything. Sunday still has those same crazy checkpoints. So checkpoint 5 is at 57,120 bounty, and chests are at 8, 16, and 32k. Short bubbles, which usually is a challenge for people trying to repair their guards, because it usually takes longer than the bubble. So nothing new there. What's new? First time I see that in a briefing, you cannot switch alliances during bounty. If you do, you will not be able to collect the Nexus drips. So I know some people were switching alliances halfway through bounty to join an alliance that had a Nexus. If you do it this time, it may not work. I find it funny they say it may not work. So they don't guarantee it won't, but I wouldn't take my chances. So if you want to move to a strong alliance, move before Thursday, okay, before bounty starts. The super new thing, replicas. Everybody found bounty to be a grind, hitting those bandit occupied bases that were the same all the time, with a small variation, and made bounty feel like just another raid with even less targets to hit. So now they're doing it totally different. No more bobs, bandit bases. Now they're gonna have these replica bases. So every player who participated in Season 6, they have a list of those player IDs, and they will be randomly copying bases from those players during bounty and spawning them randomly, okay, on the map. That means you have you're gonna have some very easy bases, like level 60 bases, and they'll pay a random amount between 100 and 250 bounty between level 60 and 80. So if you want to grind something, you can grind those. They'll probably be very easy. And it doesn't say anything about a cap, so there shouldn't be a limit that you cannot hit the easy ones if you're a high level. Intermediate level bases between levels 81 and 100 will pay a random amount between 230 and 360 bounty. And the hard bases, or in theory they're hard, over level 101 can pay up to 500 bounty. Okay. This time do not spawn around the relay towers. They'll spawn around every single draconian base in your sector, according to the briefing. Okay, so that's the news. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So again, bandit bases gone, jackpots gone. That addresses a big complaint that the jackpot spawn times were horrible. Always horrible for some people because of work hours, time zones, family time, sleep time. They were super hard to find and, repetitive, the regular ones. And the payout was like 50 or 100, very low payout. The payout now is a lot better on the replicas. They will be labeled as your opponent on map, just a generic your opponent name around draconian bases. And they will be copied from the players, kind of like real time. So it's not like you're going to get, let's say, my base. I was in less bounty, so maybe you'll see my base out there. And it's not going to be like my base was last month on bounty. It will be the way my base is right now. So that means you're going to have some really hard bases out there that will spawn and maybe they're unbreakable. Not mine. Mine is easy to break. But if you see some of those, just move on, right? Find easier bases to hit. For instance, my base now has an Executioner 2, and that's hard. It damages most ships like real bad. So just to keep in perspective, don't panic, right? I think the replicas are way better than the Bobs, simply because there's a lot of variety. So you shouldn't find the same base twice. And that means pretty much any combos you have, any sort of Conqueror fleet is going to find some bases you can break, right? Unlike before where, you have to use gluttonies with sinful scatterguns, or you have to use Boss and Sloths. This time is whatever you have. Go and find opponents you can break. Okay? Plenty of easy targets, we should see. Some impossible to crack. For instance, that chart you see, the table, shows how many players potentially got the Executioner 2 turret. I'm going to run away from those bases. Okay? I'm not even going to try them. But only about 4,000, maybe 5,000 players got that turret. So the odds of you finding a base with 1 or 2 executioners should be pretty low. And if you don't have a top-notch fleet, or even if you do, don't waste your time taking damage on a level 110 base with 2 executioners. You can just hit 3 easier bases and get about the same average bounty for a lot less repair. So keep it simple, right? If you don't have a Conqueror for another day and a half, the March to War TLC is out there. You can complete that with Fangtooth. And here's a hole you could have. You could have an Eviscerator with Chaos chain guns. Use the Conqueror tokens you see on the March to War and build them instantly. Use the VXP tokens you get on March to War. Rank it instantly. Okay, and a single ship like this one you see here should actually allow you to break a lot of the low-level bases for instant repair. Okay, if you have the Sinful Scatterguns, I prefer the Eviscerators with them, but since they're not at price available right now, this is the build with chain gun, high velocity rounds, speed system. If you don't have 6, use 5. If you don't have siege battery, 4, use 3. If you don't have HVR, use siege targeting. If you don't have the augmented ballistic armament, which makes the ship a lot lighter, you can use nuclear accelerator. It's going to make the ship a lot heavier, so you may have to cut down 1 cannon if you do that. I like the strike warheads because it buffs the concussive and penetrating damage from the scatterguns. And agility system 4, it's an option. You can use that, or use some other, let's say something to buff radioactive damage, okay, or corrosive damage. So should be able to insta-build one of those if you're able to complete the TLC. Last two things I want to talk about. Interesting prizes. So this is not a complete list of prizes, just the ones I find interesting. So if you think you can get all the way to the top, 45,000 bounty gets you 3 missile storm cruiser. The new limited Conqueror hull should work fantastically as a spotter. And it's the one ship you need to be able to break bases with the Executioner turret. If you cannot go that far up, 10,000 bounty can get you 1 Onslaught. I didn't get the Onslaught last month, so I'm planning on getting 2 of them this time. It could also get you the new Siege Missile X, which is an amazing missile. Even if you don't get the new ship, that missile on older ships can work great, even on defenders. For 5,000 you can get the 2XQ mortar, very good mortar for your sloths or other conquerors, and high explosive shells 4. They pair up nicely. The high explosive shells are not a must-have. You can actually work with older specials for mortars. If you can only get 2,400 bounty, you could go for a King's Writ or get a few agility system 4. Or, if you don't have the second shipyard, get the tokens to expedite building the conquest yard. So there are options for everyone. I didn't even mention the new missile special because it's not a must-have. I mean, the older specials can work really well too. You know, but if you need the 3 missile storm cruisers, the new special, and the new weapon, it's 65,000 bounty required just for the 3 new things. Then there's a bunch of skins and other stuff I didn't mention here, but this is just what I think it's more interesting. On the right side you can see how many times you can redeem that bundle. When you see blueprint, means once you get it you can build as many as you want. And finally, we can now understand, with 2 new hulls out, we can understand the 2018 PvP strategy that Kixeye published. So you see, last month we had an explosive hull, the Onslaught, with a very high explosive deflection. Now we have a penetrating hull with very high penetrating deflection. So next month, just expect, I don't know, a radioactive hull with radioactive deflection, or a corrosive hull with corrosive deflection. I think you're just going to have 6 hulls, tier 7, all following the same approach. Then the other trend you can see now, every new weapon adds a second type of deflection, like the 2XQ added concussive deflection. The new missile adds explosive deflection. And we also have the 2 armors that covers 3 deflections each, but you can only put 3 of each per hull, so you can do a mix and match, but you're capped at about 180 added deflection when you put 3 of one of them. On the defense side, we have the ballistic Omega weapon, we have the concussive Omega weapon. Now they're not affected by turret defense, so it's only deflection, so they actually can do damage. We have the penetrating turret, the Executioner 2. We have the elite countermeasure, very important against these 2 because they are missile and mortar, and that turret can countermeasure both. And high salvo weapons like the flail rocket or the chaos chain gun, hurting them through the minimum pass-through. So that's the trend I see. We should see 6 hulls focused on each damage type, and probably turrets and defenders and whatnot to counter each one of them as well. So go back to the rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock game that we had in 2016, and people were actually having fun with that. So I hope this overview was useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you can. Share this video with your alliances, and that's it. Enjoy Bounty. I think there are prizes for everyone, and with the new model of replicas, everyone can participate. Take care, everyone.